Hi, everybody. As you know, the Ecomi Veve OUP article came out yesterday. Do we have some issues? Do we have some problems here? Not sure. Let's discuss. So when I was much younger, my first job really, and I would show you some pictures, but it's such a long time ago. I don't even know if cameras existed back then. Certainly not mobile cameras. I think it would be odd to bring one of those larger cameras to work and take pictures of people. So there's really no pictures of me back then. But I remember my first job. I would work for this huge consulting company, computer consulting company, and I was a go-getter. I was very young, and I remember the first meeting. There's a lot of different people there, and I had what I thought discovered something that was wrong. And so at the end of the meeting, when one of the high-level managers said, does anybody have any issues or questions? Of course, like an idiot, I raised my hand and said, I think this is a problem. And, everybody listened to me. And then after the meeting, my manager, who was the lower-level manager, said to me, okay, don't do that again. A couple things. Number one, never say the word problem. We don't have any problems here. We only have issues. And really, it's a semantic thing. Of course, it wasn't true. We did have issues and problems there. But it always felt like issues could be resolved. Those are kind of minor, whereas problems are significant things that needed to be escalated. So what do we have here in looking at the OUP? Do we have any issues? Do we have any problems? I wanted to kind of spend some time discussing it, my thoughts on it. And really, I know a lot of other great channels and people have covered the OUP. I just wanted to give it more from my personal perspective. And it's really interesting. I like it. It's compelling. It's audacious. It's brilliant, maybe. And I think at its core, as a Veve person who's collecting things, am I interested enough that I would perhaps buy OMI if I hadn't before? And I think the answer to that is yes. It's compelling enough that I would do that. I actually do own some OMI. People, I've talked about that in this channel before. So I've gone through that process to get it, and I do believe in the token. And I do like, of course, one of its core principles that they've discussed, which is it's deflationary. That's super exciting. And obviously, when you're looking to invest in something or perhaps get a return on it, that's a unique feature. Maybe not a unique feature, but a feature that we've seen with cryptocurrencies, and it's very interesting. But let's talk about the flip side of it. Let's talk about the issues or problems. And I think there's a couple. And let's get to it. So the first one is it's complicated. I've seen a lot of people discuss the complications. It's this, it's that, it's burning. You do this, you get the staking tiers. It's complicated. And I think for somebody that's been part of this ecosystem, both from a broad perspective in cryptocurrency and then now more with Ecomi and Veve, it's complicated, but I was able to digest it. I find that most of the other people that I've talked to, which are generally core users or other creators, they're able to digest it quite quickly. But will a new person be able to? There's so much here. Maybe they don't need to learn about that. They just need to buy a Spider-Man and be happy. And then as they grow into the ecosystem, they'll be interested in that. But either way, it definitely adds an order of complexity into this world that, depending on the type of person you are, you may or may not like. So that's kind of one. It's complex. And so number two, the question is as we are trying to attract collectors, do they care? In other words, I just want to come in and, buy, I like Black Panther. I want to get the Black Panther set. Do I care about all this other stuff? And it's super complicated. I have to buy this other coin, and then I want to get drops and the tickets. I do think that if you think about it more, maybe you can justify that they would get involved because they would want to get the drops, so they want to get the tickets. But it's still an order of magnitude more complex. And do we care? And do we want a collector to be exposed to all that? I don't know. It's interesting. It definitely plays a part of it all. From my perspective as a person who likes complexity and likes kind of that stuff, of course, I think it's awesome. But I'm just trying to think of the other side of the coin. Okay, the last thing I would say is that it is expensive. And you've heard me say this, maybe not on this channel, but definitely in talking to people and in Twitter spaces, that you don't want to create divisions, I think, within your community. It naturally happens. But for example, this who owns OMI and who doesn't, and who is in these tiers and who doesn't, is going to be a matter of money. It's rather expensive even to get into tier 1. Now, of course, I know people would say, well, if you invest in now, as the OMI token goes up, maybe it's not. But either way, as you're onboarding people, whatever, a year from now, 2 years, 5 years from now, it's going to be expensive to get into these different tiers. And does that create kind of a, haves and have-not scenario? Does it turn people off because they're just like, oh my gosh, it's just so much. You know what? I'm just going to pass. This is way too complicated for me. I didn't get in early enough. And we don't want anybody to feel that way. We need onboarding ramps to kind of help people go through the process. And then once you're a power user, yeah, maybe you're like, I'm getting it all. I want the OMI. I want everything. And, for as long as I've been in the project, I know there's been people that have been longer than I have, but I feel like I know most of it, and I would be, I think, considered a power user. So, yeah, I'm up for all of it. It does also, when you look at all of what the core of the OUP is, and this and that, and MCP and everything, at its core, and I like this, it's all window dressing. The core of what this product is the NFTs and collectibles. And this is where Veve, I think, does shine. Ecomi does shine. Their collectibles look great. Now, they've had a couple misses, and everybody's going to have a couple misses. And maybe there's ones that you like that I like that you don't like, whatever it might be. But at its core, their value proposition is we have incredible NFTs. And they do that in 2 ways. Number one, the IP is unmatched, as we know. I love Silver Surfer. They have Silver Surfer. Pretty much nobody else is going to have Silver Surfer. And then the actual NFT itself, the 3D collectible, they're only getting better. We've heard them say that many times, that the technology that they're using now that we won't maybe see for 6 months or a year is even getting better. And so when you look at, any of these newer ones, they are spectacular. The one that comes to mind is Mysterio, or even Miles Morales' Secret Wear, where it's, transparent, unbelievable. These are above and beyond what we saw a year ago. And of course, they're continuing to push the envelope. So when you think about, hey, I really want to buy a collectible that's cool, I mean, these are cool. So they have that. If that is the core of what their value proposition, all this other stuff helps support that, I think they're on the right track. And from my perspective, I think they are. Okay, last thing I'll talk about here. And that is that OMI, one of the most difficult pieces of it is if you think about it in terms of a product that you want people to buy. And one of the most difficult things about this product is it's difficult to buy. So, as we know, depending on which exchange, you're not on very many exchanges right now. Obviously, if you fast forward, hopefully they'll be on more. But currently, from what we can see, it's difficult. If you look through the article, there is one feature here that I think is highly significant. And that's that if I'm a guy who doesn't want to go find the wallet and move my money here and go over to here and get from Bitforex and try and do all that stuff, and there's lots of videos that show you how to do it, but it is complicated. They offer a way for you to buy OMI super, super easily. And that is that, if I'm reading the article correctly, I can list my NFTs for OMI. And if I wanted to, let's just pretend I wanted to even take a loss on it because I believe in OMI as a token. So I have, let's just say I have a collectible that's flooring right now for $1,500. I could floor it for $1,000. It would sell immediately, perhaps in OMI, and suddenly I own OMI. I don't need to do any of this nonsense of moving money here, but then there, KYCing on different exchanges, all this other stuff. No, I could own OMI pretty quickly. I think that's a significant feature of what I'm seeing here, which unfortunately then leads me to the last piece of the puzzle, which is how long is this going to take to develop? I know that they've hired some new people. I know that we've seen some progress over the last year. This is a mantra we've all discussed again and again. They're announcing this. If you look at their track record, we probably won't see this for another 12 months, which I can wait, but obviously that is a little bit painful. Hopefully we all want it to come out sooner, but this is a complicated document. So those are my thoughts on the document. I am very bullish about it. I do think it's quite brilliant in how they've been able to stay within the regulatory guidelines and yet still make it a deflationary token. So that's really, really interesting. We're just going to have to be a little bit more patient in terms of watching it. But maybe that's on the flip side, it allows us to acquire some more. I don't know. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.